What's up, everybody? We're coming at you live. I'm Shane. This is Zabi. Where are we coming at you from? Coming at everyone from?
We're here with the Admirals of AI, and we're at the Palace of the Dog right here. Sponsored by Principles of Building AI Agents. Not sponsored by Celsius, but maybe one day. How's it going, dude?
Dude, it's going good. We had some sick demos today in our team meeting.
Yeah, we should talk about those.
Yeah. Well, what was the highlight for you? What was the coolest thing you saw?
There's like a lot of there was I think A2A. We should probably talk about that in more detail as well. But MCP hosting that we're doing.
Yeah, we're gonna have MCP hosting.
Maybe we should ask Daniel to come in at some point in the stream and kind of talk about that.
Yeah, we could bring Daniel in.
Yeah.
I think there's some other people that have some hot takes around MCP as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of hot takes in there. I know. Hey, have you ever seen I want to get into this show, but I've just been thinking about what I'm going to do this weekend. Like, have you seen that new Marvel movie?
No.
The Thunderbolts?
I honestly, I've kind of fallen off the Marvel universe a little bit, but I have not seen Thunderbolts, no.
There's this new hero in it called the Sentry. I don't even know about it.
The Sentry, okay.
Yeah. But it made me think of one of my friends. I think it's a friend of ours, right? David?
Yeah, I've never really talked to David, but I know you have.
Yeah, I think maybe we should do Phone a Friend.
Phone a friend.
Let's phone him in. Oh, there he is. That was quick. Hey, David.
So cringe.
Yes, yeah, we lean into the cringe here. We're not above a little cringe. It's good to see you, David. Yeah, we'll bring you on and maybe just chat about some MCP stuff. I saw you had some blog posts come out the last couple days on MCP, so I figured we can spend a little time talking about that and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I've been full DevRel, which is not my job, to be clear. I run a company, sort of, or I help run a company. But no, it's been fun.
Maybe just quick background. Maybe that'd be helpful. A lot of people probably know who you are, but maybe not everybody.
If you don't know me, I'm the founder of Sentry. Hopefully you know what Sentry is. If not, it's not. You just go check yourself. It's not a good thing. But I run I don't actually know what I do at Sentry. I do a lot of random stuff. But the last couple of weeks I've been building the MCP server for us, which is not usually what I do, to be fair. I haven't written code for the company in 8 years until this. So, but it's been fun. I don't know.
What do you think I kind of want to start where, why do you think this thing took off so quickly? Is it because of companies? Is it because of the model company backing it, or some other phenomenon?
No, I think it's everybody wants to it's like FOMO. Everybody wants to be like, pick me, pick me, pick me. I'm here too. They want to be relevant, And I do think it's MCP is not a bad idea, mind you. It's my latest rant was it's just not that good right now. It's a good architecture and it makes a lot of sense. There's still tons of unanswered problems, but it is literally, if you look at so when I was writing this post about it the other day, I googled MCP and I bet I'm gonna pull it up on my other screen. I bet if you Google MCP right now, you're gonna get a sponsored listing. Ooh, I didn't get one right now. I got one for what was the company? It was this random Java company, Neo4j. It's like some old school graph database, but there's a sponsored listing for the term MCP, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I don't know. So you can clearly see it as very much latching on to whatever's happening right now, which is, to be fair, it's good from a go-to-market point of view, I guess. But a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense. You don't need to stick all these random things in a chat bot. It's just that's not how you consume it. For some people it does, though. It makes a lot, Sentry, it makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, so we were talking to some YC founders yesterday that they were MCP adjacent before MCP. So then, unfortunately, the hype kind of dissolves other protocols.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to maybe get into the MCP space. They're talking to big companies. They talked to Asana?
Asana, yeah.
Let's just put they talk to companies like that who have MCP servers with zero usage, because for Asana or Linear, I think the UI has probably been optimized for so many years for a user, right? So the MCP base is not there.
Yeah. At least not yet. I think the promise is there, right? That's what everyone buys into, this hype that this promise could exist, but it doesn't exist. Not today.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's not like a normal product is a thing. Like you're building for what we describe as like an unknown unknown or like a known unknown, one of the two. But like, there's probably value in what your company provides, or at least you want to believe there is. Like one of the two. It doesn't actually matter. You don't know what that value is in the context of these agents, right? You kind of want to enable people to develop, but it's like APIs. It's like you kind of have an idea what the value is, or at least you should, and you build an API because that value is there. But like if you're like, I'm trying to pick an obscure company, but like there's a bunch of companies where like the API is irrelevant. Like you don't need a public API to consume it. That's not the value it's offering, right?
Yep.
But nobody took that exercise with MCP. They're like, oh, hype, let's go. We can't miss this opportunity. But it's the same thing. It's an API. And so like ours was like, oh, Sentry, you probably want to do some stuff with like the error data and all this other stuff that's in Sentry inside of something like Cursor. Totally makes sense. So of course we want to expose that there if we can find a way to do it well. I just think there's and that's fine. You know, we at least have a thesis behind it.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay if you don't quite know how it's going to be used, but I just think too many people are like, we have no clues. We'll just, here's our API. Good luck, have fun, you know? It's just, that's not good enough.
Where we found it very helpful so far is in documentation and helping people write code in IDEs, exactly. And so, like, for example, we have Mastra MCP doc server, and, you know, we put all of our docs in there. We pre-process them in there, and people can use that to essentially have an assistant while running with Mastra. Outside of that use case, I've not used an MCP server for anything other than like things like that help me in IDEs, right? We've played around with them with like Composio and all these different ones that help you, but like, yeah, it's just kind of like a mess, I guess.
Yeah, one core area. So we have a bunch of like Sentry's it's a big thing, right? Like we have a lot going on. And we have one use internally that uses LLMs that does this root cause analysis. It basically summarizes all of this data sort of associated with one entity, like a big graph traversal thing. And that uses a bunch of tools, right? And then it tries to generate a patch, which uses a bunch of tools. And if you think about those tools, it's like, okay, summarize a bunch of data. It's probably a bunch of different tools that are doing summarization, right? One might be summarize errors, summarize traces, all these things. Like that might be useful to another agent. Or the code gen stuff might be useful to other agents. And so one cool thing about MCP, if you ignore the hype, is internal usage is actually very high value too, because you can reuse this technology. It's like microservices, right? For better or worse. And I don't think I think people are like latching onto hype versus like thinking critically about like, actually, what is the useful thing I can do with this? Because actually there's a lot of uses for it. I think it's super, super valuable. Yeah. It's just really rough and broken for most consumers right now today. So
yeah. Do you mind showing off the Sentry MCP server? Not to put you on the spot or anything. Be cool to look at.
Yeah, I have no idea how this thing we're on works, but I can give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to the club. There should be a stream button though, or share screen button.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay. Oh, this is gonna be. Oh, actually, we can allow. I'm like, is this one of those things where I gotta reboot the browser to give it permission?
Yeah, hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
But we are pretty good at stalling if we need to go that route.
Yeah, we could stall.
Entire screen. Okay, I think we're good. All right. We're gonna do the
Yeah, let's do it live.
The recursive screen.
Also, we have 72 people in here.
Yeah,
and a bunch of people in the chat. We'll get to your comments a little bit.
Yeah, if drop comments in the chat along the way. We're with David Cramer from Sentry. He's going to show us the Sentry MCP.
Yeah, I guess I don't actually need to set this up. I just need something that's functioning. And fingers crossed, Cursor does not break here. Let me swap this.
So you're a Cursor guy.
Yeah,
I'm a Cursor guy. So I am a strong believer it is the best in the industry right now.
Abby's a windsurfer, so.
Oh, honestly, I tried it. I've tried it a couple times, and it's got like some nice UI polish. I think Cursor, love Cursor, and they know this, but I think Cursor has the worst UI. But I think it's got the best tech. Like in my cases, and this is not scientific, but I've used all of them. I've been mostly using all of them to test the different things. And every single time I'm back at Cursor, because I'm like, everything else is just not working as well. Like the type ahead is so good in Cursor. Doesn't mean it's perfect. There's lots of problems too. Mm-hmm. The agent mode actually just seems to work a lot better for me than it did in like Windsurf and VS Code. There's just like all these little nuances that happen. And maybe that's just like specific to what I do. But generally speaking, I'm like, I don't know. It seems to be Cursor. Oh yeah, I guess I don't need to bring up that screen to talk. I'm not a streamer. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I do need this screen. Okay, you can share it if you want.
We're just having fun, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do I go? Okay. So we got this MCP server. If you don't know what it is, it's just a wrapper around your API. And so it's a wrapper that takes something you're doing. Could be a public API, could be a database, something. Converts it to, in our case, we're using Markdown. Converts it to Markdown, and hopefully you can do something with that. So a really good example. Let's see if I can avoid PII. This is always like the risk. I think we're good though. If not, I'm going to ask for forgiveness. So let's take. Which one least likely has PII? Let's go with this one.
If you want me to,
No, we're probably good. It's good. Somebody will be like, oh, an IP address or something, but it's actually not a big deal. Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit. Don't worry about what's happening right now. This is one of our agents that you're seeing on the screen. This is our it's gonna be renamed, but this is our issue fix thing. What this is doing is root causing a problem. It may or may not do something useful here. I just need an example to show you why MCPs are interesting. Okay, so we want this. Actually, we can just take the URL. Let's get rid of all that crud. So let's say this is the MCP service set up to debug the MCP service, just so we're clear on what's going on. And we're in Cursor, and we've got this configured here. If you haven't configured these, they're a little brittle. But when you got a green light, it's working. You won't always get a green light. It's complicated. All these work a little bit differently. It will probably get better in a few weeks across the industry, but we'll see. Okay, so we did this thing. I'm trying to fix a bug I found in Sentry. Can you root cause it and help me find a solution? Fingers crossed. Live demo. I don't actually know if this is going to do what I want it to do, because we're sort of banking on the agent prompt signaling correctly.
Yeah.
But this prompt, you can this thought that I just put into chat is actually how you would think about it, or how I think about it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this is not whatsoever doing what I wanted it to do. So let's try again. Use Sentry's issue fix behavior. This is fine. I guess we should not expect. This is not what I wanted to do either. I didn't want it to begin it. So here's the problem. MCPs are super limited right now, and it takes sometimes a couple minutes to do this thing in Sentry, this thing that our agent does. And so I try to signal to the agent that, hey, don't kick off an issue fix right away. Check to see if one's in progress first, because then I can cheat and I can start it in the background or something like that. But yes, pull until it is ready. Let's see what happens here. Usually it gives up after a few tries, so maybe it'll actually work this time.
Are you calling an LLM within the MCP tool?
Effectively, yeah, but it's exposed in this complicated abstraction.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm calling an API on Sentry, which is running an agent behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll continue pulling, but it's actually not continuing pulling. It just thinks it is. And so try again and wait a few seconds in between. I don't think, for example, though, it doesn't know how to wait. So you'd have to expose a wait tool, Cursor would. Otherwise, it can't actually do any of this, right? Okay, cool, it finished. So, oh, it's not done yet. It's not done, but it has partial information, which is what it's giving here. And so it's like, okay, the root cause of it, it's this, it's blah, blah, blah. I didn't actually look at this error, so I have no idea what it is. Unfortunately, it's like, oh, I need to keep pulling. Pull again. But you can understand why this is not great today, though. Just as an example of a really good use case for this, and it's still bad. Is it done yet, though? That's the real question.
Yeah.
Would it be better to start this instead of prompting it? Would it be better to, let's say, click a button that fires off a lot of this
100%.
cause type.
Yeah, like people are too wrapped up in chatbots and stuff, thinking that's the solution.
I mean, I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the one who came up with this clearly, but I've heard chatbots are like the CLI of AI. So it's fine, but it doesn't. It's in most cases it doesn't seem like it's the best use for a lot.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at this autofix thing in Sentry. This is an agent. It's not a chatbot.
Yeah.
There's some text inputs in here, but down here we've got where is it? Hang on, I need to move this little screen. I think it's in here somewhere. So it's diagnosing it. This is wrong. This is where LLMs mess up, by the way, is failed to parse token response does not mean the user is missing. I don't know where it came up with this idea. Usually it's pretty good, but sometimes there's just errors that make no sense. But yeah, so we've got like an actual UI that like tries to solve. So code it up. Will just give me a solution. Again, it's like you got to think about how to use these user interfaces. But the concept of like, I want this context inside of Cursor is the important one.
Yeah.
How we get it there, I don't know. The only way we're getting anything anywhere right now is MCP.
Yeah,
that's what's exciting for folks.
So then, like, let's say you get the context in there. Is the next thing the fix it, and then they'll write the code from the error report or from the root cause or something.
Yeah, and you'll see we actually came up with like, I mean, it's the same thing. And so, but the idea is like, I can create a PR out of this, right? Yeah, but it's probably wrong because it's an LLM, right? I'm gonna have to change it. But why would I create a PR? And I actually don't even know what checkout locally does. But really, I just want it in my editor right now. I want to be like, give me the potential changes you're suggesting so I can review and tweak it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because it is like totally wrong right now. But just contrived example. Anyway, so I think that's the interesting concept. Obviously, there's other things you could do, but it's silly because like, here's an example of how every single MCP works right now. And this is not real value add. It's like, show me my most recent issues in Sentry remote MCP. It's like, why is this useful to me? Like, I got a chatbot to do this when I go click a UI that's way more consumable. It's not useful. And this is every MCP that's been exposed recently, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And so that's the problem. I don't know. Again, there's lots of useful use cases. If you think of them as tools and reusable tools, like maybe somebody is, so here's a real good example. If you're like a Devin or V0 or pick one of these code generators, and maybe you had a mode that's like, I can deploy this to production, and then you could monitor Sentry, look for errors, use the MCP to call our agent or something. So you could like plug in these tools from Sentry to augment a bigger workflow, but you still have to design the system. You don't just plug in abstract tools and pretend they're useful, So
yeah, we share that same belief. Like a lot of these agentic things are deterministic with like indeterminism within the steps, which is reasoning based on stimuli, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean you ask the agent to both come up with the plan, do the plan, and then expect it to have 100% accuracy of the plan, especially because it doesn't know your business, doesn't know anything about the history of your company, all the work that it took to get here, which I think that's like a plus for like the human part of it,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the context is, it doesn't matter how big the context is, it's usually still limited, right, on what it can understand, so.
Yeah, 100%. And sure, maybe you could feed it all the context in the world, but are you going to pay $10,000 for this bug, whatever this is? It's probably not even a real bug. No, you're not. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So
I could totally see though, as you have agents that can, not just run when you tell it to, on your input, but imagine you have alerts that come into Sentry and you can wire up agents to do the first triage of that and maybe propose a solution. And things like that could become really useful.
It's almost like they're a Sentry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is what I think is wacky. I heard you all talking about agent to agent and stuff, I think, right before joining. But like, agents are a good idea. Like, that's a good construct. Tools are a good idea. MCP is a great way to make tools sort of composable, reusable, right? But agents are really the value prop. And everybody's like over-rotate on MCP because it's like, oh, we can integrate just like, here's our API. We're in the conversation now, but you're not. And there's a lot of use cases for agents. And I think MCP is going to be actually way more valuable in the way sort of people are latching onto right now when we can expose agents through it. So like you saw what I was doing here and it was bad. It's like I had to tell it to check again. But really, it's just communicate with an agent. It should be able to stream that back like any other thing that's happening in here. Just the protocol doesn't support that right now. And so I think once that happens, you'll effectively unlock agent to agent via MCP, which just means it's super pluggable and it's still high value at that point. And I actually think that opens the door to a lot more freeform uses because I can just expose a Sentry agent that on our servers, I can parse your query that sort like effectively the agent in Cursor sends me, and then I can do something much more useful with it than these abstract tools that we're just exposing to you. So
yeah, totally. What's your take on A2A? Like, if you're, okay, so here's the thing. Like, we are deep into A2A right now, more so because we have to be. And it's the same kind of growing pains are going to happen just as MCP is going through. But what's your take so far, or if at all?
I don't know if A2A is like, is this like you can't make fetch a thing or whatever? When I saw the announcement, which was conveniently right after MCP was starting to get popular, and I looked at all the logos, in the like, look at all these enterprise people supporting A2A. It's like a bunch of irrelevant companies. Like these are not the companies that are leading the way in anything. These are the companies trying to latch on to things that are pure enterprise, have not been super relevant for many years. And I'm like, that's signal to me. And I look for any signal I can get in anything. And so right now, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I don't have any confidence in that. So
yeah, I went to that RSA conference in SF last week, which I had no business being there, by the way. No freaking business. And I didn't even have a ticket. So actually, I shouldn't have said that out loud. But I went there, and I was in this agent security discussion. And this, I think it was OWASP is the group. They were doing like, these are the 3 layers of AI agents that you and your teams need to know about. 1, single agent architecture. This is what we recommend. Which is like, all right, isn't that very limiting? Okay, sure. Multi-agent supervisor architecture. It's like, okay, I can get with that. Then a third one, peer-to-peer architecture, A2A, the future. Okay, I can also get with that. Or I can try to understand it. But I think the difference is with MCP, agent to agent is via tool calling. And with A2A, it's via this task job system, right? Agents send tasks to each other versus tool calls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you just look at it like that, those are just different transports of doing the same shit.
yeah, it is. One is also much more complex to implement, by the way. Like,
And
this was my point, because like MCP is also, you know, I like the guys building it. I'm a fan, but like it's also needlessly complicated. Like I cannot, like the way it works is I send in a request. It goes through one route, and then the response comes through another system at the end of the day. It's like it's a multi-channel thing. So it is like fire task over here and then receive a response over here. And that is so complicated to reason about. When we have streaming, we have we have HTTP, we have all these protocols that exist. And my biggest complaint is I'm like, you really don't need to reinvent the core protocol for the 99% use case to support some 1% outlier over here. And yeah, sure, maybe a lot of stuff does have to fire off and then check back later. That could still be a stream. So there's some things there, but I just think it's like needlessly complicated, and I wish it was not. And this is why, for example, out of the box, it's not that easy to just support streaming responses for agent to agent in MCP.
Yeah.
And I wish they would do something about it and just dial it back, but I know there's already been discussions. They're like, no, there's use cases for this. And this is how all these design by committee things go, these big academic concepts. And, you know, it's not that it's invalid, it's complex, and not everybody needs that complexity. And so hopefully the abstractions make it easier, but still, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So, like, David, we've been all doing this for a long time. I also remember when you started Sentry, when I was I was more of a younger engineer back then. I'm not that young though, or whatever. But and I remember like the community we were in was like this JavaScript community, and I feel like we've had like these types of technological movements, not like at this scale, of course, but it's always been the design by committee. Let's go through memory lane real quick, right? We have like early JavaScript frameworks, Backbone, Fights, and Angular, and React. Meteor JS. Who remembers Meteor freaking JS ahead of its time?
Never used it.
Ahead of its time. And then all those, React. Now we're doing React Next.js, Gatsby, of course, like all this. And do you think like now with the TypeScript getting into AI and stuff, do you think we're going to get into a lot more drama again?
I don't know. Here's my kind of point of view on everything. First off, anything good usually comes from one or two people, like their opinion. It's not designed by committee, right? It's like, no, this is our view of the world. That's okay if you don't agree with it. And the best things come with our view of the world, and that happens to be a really good view of the world that like changes a lot of things, right? And so I generally am anti any version of design by committee. So that's one. I think two, one thing we're seeing right now already, LLMs are not intelligence. It's just pattern matching. You know, sure, it's complicated pattern matching, but that's all it is. It should not be confused with any version of intelligence. And an analogy you can apply from humans to LLMs, if it's hard for a human to reason about, it's also hard for this thing that's unintelligent to reason about, because we pattern match, it pattern matches. The delta is we have a ton of context. And sure, in the vast infinity of compute, it can have more context, but that's just not the reality we live in. And so when you look at things, even something modern right now like Next.js, it can be quite hard to reason about what's going on in there. TypeScript errors, quite hard to reason about what's going on in there, to the point where I can't solve them. You think this machine is going to solve it? Like, I'll spend hours on the same problem. Like, and it's like, we shouldn't be surprised that it's hard for the machines to solve some of these problems, I guess is my point. And so I do think if we want this technology to succeed, it might push the conversation of simplicity again, which doesn't mean under the hood things have to be simple, but the exposed experiences to, say, the framework or the programming languages have to actually be pretty simple. I don't know what that looks like, honestly, but I'm trying to rewrite. I have a side project right now. I'm trying to rewrite it to be Open API native, which then will hopefully get me to OpenAI native, which I'll talk about. But I'm trying to rewrite it. I'm trying to focus on DX, like the ergonomics of code, and I'm trying to like just remove every piece of boilerplate. The less code you have to write, the simpler it is, the less variable it is. Thus, the more likely I can code gen everything I want and not think too hard about things. And so I'm spending a lot of time like, how do I get this to like the bare minimum of simplistic interfaces for like the 99%? Again, you can have an outlier case where complexity enters the mix and maybe the human gets involved. But most of the time I'm like, copy paste this thing, change this behavior, add a test that's copy pasting this other test. It's like, that is most of the crud we do, right?
Yeah.
And so this is kind of my litmus test of like, well, if I spend a lot of time to intentionally make this really, really, really simple, like that, you know, a brand new contributor could figure out what's going on just by looking at it, pretty sure that any model will be able to code gen really effectively at it. And again, this has nothing to do with LLMs. That's how we should design things in the first place. We just don't, right? Like, and so I don't know. It's like, hopefully this is a forcing function again, because the efficiency comes from simplicity. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see this play out if you use any of the other code gen tools like the Bolt.news, the Lovables. Like they use Vite over Next.js for that reason, right? You can get farther before you hit that inevitable wall, which you almost always hit when you're using those tools. At least I have. Some people can get maybe farther than I have, but it gets you really far pretty fast. But it's because you start with a simpler architecture and you start, and it's easier to understand in the entire code base then, right? And so,
I think this
wins.
This is also why it's like so effective from like zero, like starting a new project, because it's simple right then. And I also think like V0 is pretty effective for Next, but like they spend a lot of time building like basically this, like the strategy is like summarize context over and over with like rags. And so they spend a lot of time building these tools and these contexts that allow it to be more effective at Next. But these are generalized models. And so if you want it to be genuinely effective at technology, things need to kind of look similar. They need to look simple. You know, they need to not be innovative. And to be fair, technology doesn't change. Like MCP is not a new idea. Like it's an RPC protocol. Like it doesn't have to be as complex as it is, right? Like, so it didn't have to reinvent a new thing. The exposed interface looks like RPC for the most part, so it's easy to reason out, fortunately. But yeah, so I really hope we see more of this simplicity, because if you can design simple tech, hopefully you'll see like literally financial advantages to doing that. Thus, it'll motivate the right people to make those decisions.
Yeah. Dang, that's awesome. Thanks for coming on. I have one more question for you before we let you go. And we're going to do some boring programming after this. This was dope. There's this topic that in AI right now called skill acquisition. And I'll just like, I'll put it in like, I want to put it in the NPM, like in the JavaScript context for the viewers, right? So right now, like if an agent, what if you could have an agent that has no tools? The only tool it has is tool discovery, where its job is to understand what tool to then install, use, authenticate. Maybe I do human in the loop. I have to authenticate with you or authorize something. Then I execute this tool that I have acquired, and then I forget about it, or I actually save it. Like I now I know how to do this. What do you think? How crazy do you think it sound, or is that a future that you would like to see?
I think it's a good experiment. Somebody should try it. See what happens. Like, here's my analogy: is like we can scrape the web for docs, and they'll be out of date, or you could have something that exposes the right version of the right docs to the agent all the time. That's not quite what you're talking about, but it's the same construct, right? Of like, I need the right information to make the decision here, and I need to be able to discover that information. I need a way to discover that information. I think in the vastness of the internet, the idea that you have a registry for every website of all time is silly. And so I don't know about that specifically, but it does feel like there is some variance of this. Because you can't just have everything in memory all the time. It just doesn't work that way. I don't know what it looks like. And I honestly think the risk, the main thing I always tell people, especially right now in the space, I don't know anything about this, by the way. I'm just winging it and using all of my educated guesses from all of my, work experience in life, right? But we can clearly see things change quite rapidly. Even if you can go back like 1 year, everybody's like, oh, we need these DAGs of pipelines, of RAG systems and whatnot. And RAG's still valuable. I don't need a pipeline anymore. I have an agent flow. It's fine. It's non-deterministic already. I'm not trying to make a pipeline anymore. I'm trying to like input, output, is the result correct, right? And so even that is a massive shift if you built a lot of infrastructure and technology around one's concept. And so I think it's the advice I always give to people is like, be very cautious of how much you invest into something because it could change tomorrow. MCP could be gone in 6 months, right? Like, who knows? But you have to try. You have to experiment and see what's going to work, see what's not going to work. Models are going to change. Maybe what works now will work better later. Maybe what doesn't work now will work better later. But I do think the concept of like, you need to be able to have a clear way to find certain things that you don't necessarily know about in advance is really, really important. And the way we do it today is not great, like rules files or like the docs context thing that some of the systems do. It's like, sure, it's a hack. That's fine. Memory's a hack. That's fine. I do like memory. It's a cool concept. But yeah, so I don't know. It'd be interesting. But I do think there's too many tools. So it's really hard to say, like, would it actually function in reality?
Tool selection is a hard job if you gave it 1,000 tools to pick from.
Yeah.
So
it'd be a hard job for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's no different. If I gave you 5 tools versus 1,000, it's going to be a lot easier. From 5.
And what if they're all named MCP file system? All of them.
Yeah. Someone mentioned in the chat toolbox server from Smithery. I know. Yeah,
Henry's working on that.
Yeah, so Henry over there. That's pretty cool. I haven't used it, but
yeah. David, thank you so much for being here. We would love to have you on again. We're just figuring this shit out too, so we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, it's fun. I like there's a lot of hype, right? But I like the let's be authentic, let's be honest. We don't have it figured out. It's cool.
Yeah.
So it's fun. But yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah. See ya.
See you, David.
Admiral leaving us right now. The Sentry.
All right.
Did you guys like that joke to bring him on though? I thought that was fire. Dude.
Yeah,
I thought that was sick.
He came in immediately, as I told you before. That thing's cringe.
It was cringe, dude. I loved it.
Hey, we're not above being cringe here and having fun. We're just two guys figuring out, like all of you all probably are too.
Yeah, we don't know what the hell we're doing.
But yeah, we still have some time, so maybe we should. We got about a half hour.
So we have our buddy Ward. He sent a video because we phoned a friend, but he actually sent a video. I have a video to play.
Yeah, can you
I have it all ready.
It's downloaded from Slack. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
We'll figure it out.
This is where we figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Demo? Oh, I can add a video.
There we go.
Oh, it's technology. Okay, so it's uploading.
Yeah, and so this video, give us the quick preview, and then we'll watch the video.
Yeah, so we were looking into A2A. Many of our users, or many of you all, wanted to see A2A working. We follow the spec. We have it working essentially. We have plans to make it better. After reading the A2A spec, and I'll get into A2A, or Ward will get into A2A in the video. But after reading the spec, there's just a lot to be desired. It's kind of the early days of MCP. But we kind of see where it could be useful. So this is kind of our experiment. Maybe also, like David said, this is us just checking off the box as well, right? Because we have to be in the conversation.
Yeah. Ultimately, having a framework, you have customers that are asking about new things that are coming out, and it's hard to keep up with all this stuff, right? So our goal is to try to stay on the leading edge as much as we can, so we can catch you all up. If you can't follow along with everything, we certainly miss stuff. Live stream on LinkedIn. Yeah,
we're actually all over.
Yeah, it's all over. We're on X, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Oh, yeah. And Huey's actually coming on the live stream. Yeah,
Huey left us a comment. He's coming on the live stream next week. If any of you all are working on something cool and you want to show it off, find us. You can find us, Discord or X or somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're happy to bring people on, show cool things, teach people. That's what we're doing, trying to keep people up to date on things. This video is processing, so it'll be done here in a second. But A2A is interesting, right? The idea of being able to communicate with agents, from one agent to the next agent. But I do think it is still early days, and I don't have a lot of confidence if it's going to take off or not. I don't, I'm kind of in the same boat as David, but it is, I think, important for us to understand it, so we have support for it, and we can then as things change, we can kind of evolve with it.
Almost there. How many people we have? 151. Hello.
Yes, 150 people watching right now.
Catch them up.
Yeah, we're gonna do this quite a bit. Yeah, for those of you that are just joining us, I'm Shane. This is Abby. We're from Mastra, and we had David from Sentry on earlier, showing us some of the Sentry MCP stuff that he's been working on. And now we're gonna talk a little bit about A2A and see a video from Ward from our team. Just showing a demo. This is more like the actual implementation in Mastra. It's not finished yet, so you're seeing kind of a preview of what will be here.
Hello everyone. Another Friday. I'm going to show you the A2A protocol in Mastra. We now have full support for A2A, and I'm just going to show you quickly how it works. So I have a project with two separate Mastra projects, because A2A is a protocol to talk agent to agent from Google. So I want to show you how to connect two agents together. So I have one weather agent, which is just a simple example, like, hey, can you tell me what weather it is? So if you just do create Mastra, you get it. So we have like an agent, your helpful assistant that provides accurate weather information, like so. And then we have the tool who actually does the weather response, as you can see here. So nothing special. Then I have other agent. So just basic example as well. Just have like my agent. My agent is like, there's nothing there, just a helpful assistant. Could have done the same thing, like I'm a weather assistant, blah, 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 blah. But I don't think it was necessary for the demo. And I have like an A2A weather tool. If we look at the weather tool itself. So it's the same thing. We're going to create a tool, get the weather in a specific location. We get the location, and we're going to return a forecast, which is just a string. I have a Mastra client. Basically, it's running on localhost 4111. I'm going to get the A2A client. So by doing this, we're getting the weather agent client. And then I can do like send message. There's also weather agent, like get cart, get task if you have like running processes happening in the background. We can do like streaming as well with send and subscribe. So we have the whole protocol set up. Then I'm gonna do the send message. I get the run ID from our tool call, and if it doesn't exist, I can do a random UUID as well. Session ID is a resource ID, could be like a user ID as well. Whatever you want to pass through, you can. It's also not mandatory, so you can remove it as well. And then we're gonna do a message, so the user, and we're just gonna do what's the weather in location. It's text, and then whenever it gets back, we're gonna get the task and get the result out of it. This is a bit messy, but this is how the protocol describes it. You should mostly do like some validation on it, but for demo purposes, this is all I'm gonna do today. So then I basically have two Mastra instances running. So the weather agent, as you can see, and then here the other example, just the my agent one. So if I do different port, it's now running. Then I can go to my browser. So first I want to show the card. So in A2A there is something like agent cards, and it's like on the well-known agent name and then agent JSON, which then gives you the name of the agent, the description, where to call it from, who the provider is, version, blah, 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 all the skills. So you can see the weather tool, get current weather for location. So if I then go to the playground, as you can see, I'm on 4112, so not 4111. So this is the my agent. And if I now say like, what's the weather in Paris. It will call the weather tool and then hopefully give me, like see, you can current weather in Paris, blah, blah, blah. And you can see that I got like, the tool got called and then with the result. And that basically did the...
Oh,
Cool. All right, so there's a little sneak preview again. Still early, but you can get a sneak preview. And we do have another someone else coming in here. What's up?
Daniel.
Oh, how's it going?
And that's not all.
Ooh.
Yeah, YJ.
Oh,
Friendly
it's a
Friday.
party now.
Hello.
What up?
As someone pointed out earlier yesterday, this is now an expensive meeting.
Yeah. Oh.
We now are having a very expensive meeting, but yeah, we have some stuff in the chat. Yeah,
Oh, what? What?
glass
How do you do
speed. I guess I can do that. You
You
know?
can do that?
Yeah. So yeah, glass speed has
Whoa.
TS port of Google. Yeah, ADK. So that's cool.
That's awesome.
Production value is through the roof now.
And Casey, what's up, dude?
Casey, what up, dude? Hey, Mr. Aura himself is here.
Oh yeah. All right.
Oh, Mr. Aura himself.
All right. It's good to see you guys. What?
Oh, the
The
music.
music stopped, and once we when we're vibing long enough, the music decides it's ready to be done. So we'll change it up a little bit. What are you guys up to? I'm not sure. What was Avi? You invited some guests. What's the plan?
Dude, it's phone a friend again. We've been phoning friends all day.
Phone a friend Friday.
Yeah. Daniel's been working on some exciting stuff. If you guys were on the live stream yesterday, we ran into some bugs that I think are maybe not bugs anymore. So Daniel, take it away. Show the crew what you got going on. 172 of us here.
Yeah, you can do a lot in a day, I guess. Okay, so how do I share screen? Yeah, so you can see this all right?
Couple clicks.
Yeah, give me a couple clicks.
Couple clicks.
Oh yeah.
Couple clicks of Zoom.
Oh, now it's like looking at my mom's iPhone. Okay, that's big. Yeah, so I've been working on MCP support native in Mastra, and yesterday y'all tried it out, but at the time we only supported HTTP streaming, which is the new protocol. The deprecated one for remote MCP servers was like SSE and HTTP. But because it wasn't deprecated that long ago, most agents you tried like Claude and Cursor and maybe Windsurf, it didn't support it. They just don't have support for streamable HTTP yet. And so we decided to add support for SSE. So that's kind of what I want to show. Do you want me to just show MCP in general? I honestly don't remember even what I showed yesterday.
Show your MCP server that you made. How you keep the Mastra, and then all that.
Yeah. So let's.
Swagger.
I was doing pretty
Yeah,
good with the conversation with David. I didn't cuss that much.
Yeah,
I
I think it's only $3 in the swear jar so far today, so not enough to buy me a drink later, but we're getting there. There's still time.
Yeah, maybe like a PBR. That's it.
Not in San Francisco.
So I've got a couple MCP servers here. They're not really doing anything that interesting. I guess what the interesting part is, you still write it with the same MCP server class that we had before, but the difference now is that you can pass it into your Mastra instance. So automatically gets telemetry added to it, logging added to it. It's kind of in your whole Mastra ecosystem. So wherever you deploy it, that's deployed there as well. We also added some routes to it to expose what I was saying before, streamable HTTP and SSE as well. And so with that, all I need to do, I have my Mastra server running here, and then inside MCP.json. Oh, I didn't put it there, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, so I have my server over here, just demo MCP, and I'm just pointing it at the SSE endpoint that Mastra gives me. And so I could always check out I'll pull up the Swagger UI as well. So these are the different routes that it gives you. So the old spec called for both of these routes, but you only really have to be concerned about this one. The new spec, it just uses a single endpoint for all the requests. And so, yeah, I have it hooked up here. Let me ask, what is the weather in San Francisco? Calls my tool, runs a tool, and bam, 20 and sunny.
Daniel's a cursor too.
Yeah, Daniel, you're a
Cursor
cursor
guy.
guy. Which is funny though, Daniel, because when I saw this demo earlier, it's 20 and sunny where you're at, right? In Waterloo?
Yeah, I
Let's-
think if I
let's-
scroll up,
Oh yeah. Let's test that again. Is it still 20 and sunny in Waterloo?
what is the weather in
I guess in
What is
Waterloo?
20 though?
Yeah.
What is 20?
20?
Can,
It's
you
like
explain
it's
20?
like room temperature.
Yeah, can you explain 20 for
Oh.
the
Yeah, I
the
would agree.
Americans that do not know Celsius?
Yeah, dude.
Most of the world understands what 20 means.
I'm not from Canada.
Yeah, you got to figure it out. It's not on me.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Okay, we got to do this test. You, John, where are you at? It
Okay.
can't be sunny where you're at.
What if
Seattle.
it's 20 degrees there too?
Let's go with Seattle.
Seattle. All right.
What?
It might be
is-
20 degrees, but it's not sunny.
Yeah.
It's also possible that this tool just returns this for every single thing. It's not actually calling an LLM.
20 degrees, 20 degrees.
Yes.
Yes!
This is
Wait, what is wait,
Yeah.
wait.
Daniel.
Let's,
Daniel, you just did
what is this
peak
actually doing?
demo. Peak fake demo right here.
Oh my god. So that it's not even calling anything. It's just defaulting.
I did.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. So if it were calling out to an API, a weather API,
Yeah.
don't we have an example that if you just create Mastra, it already has that baked in?
Yeah. Wanted to add some flavor here.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this I just told Cursor to create a couple servers for me that do something silly.
There you go.
Basic.
68 degrees is 20. But clearly we've learned Daniel is cheating on his demos. So, he's vibe demoing as we're vibe coding here. But we get the idea though. It did call the function, right? It returned whatever you told it to return. We could easily have that call out to an API or do whatever.
There's this comedian I like who had this joke about like Fahrenheit, which is like makes more sense than Celsius because 68 Fahrenheit is 68% hot, and 100 is 100% hot, and 20 is like cold, But I don't like, that's makes more sense to me.
But in Celsius, 0 is freezing and 100 is boiling.
Where I'm from, 0 is way colder than freezing.
I don't know. I've never
Yeah.
seen snowfall,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't fucking know.
You've never seen
Hurry.
snow?
Not fall from the sky.
We got someone from Turkey, Arif. Thanks for joining us.
I really
Yeah.
like this feature where you can just like show stuff.
Yeah, we're just learning
Yeah.
new stuff every day around how this works. For all those of you that are still joining us or that showed up late, we are Shane and Abby, Daniel and Yujan from Mastra. We've been told these are expensive meetings, but we do them anyway. And we had David from Sentry on earlier showing us the Sentry MCP server. We've been talking MCP, we've been talking A2A, and we just saw a demo that was mostly real, partially fake around how you can build MCP servers with Mastra.
Yeah.
And yeah, what do we got next? We got 10
Weather
more
was
minutes.
fake. Everything else was real.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the tool call. Everything else was right.
It was pretty
thanks for coming,
close.
Daniel. Adios.
What's that?
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for joining.
Adios.
Thank you.
Yeah, have
See
a
ya.
great weekend.
Now we have you, John, to work with.
And
here.
then there was just you, John.
How's it going, YJ?
Pretty good. You
Tell
know,
the
keeping busy
community who
with
you
my-
are.
Yeah. Give
Okay.
a little insight into who is you, John.
Yeah, so let's see. Well, my name's John. I'm currently located here in Seattle. I grew up in Surrey, BC, Canada, and let's see. I really like coffee, enough to pour all my money into that. If I'm not pouring my money into coffee, I'm pouring it into my kid, who's going to turn 10 months soon. So life is busy.
Where'd you work before in Mastra?
I worked at Netlify before here. That's where I met Shane and Abby and some other folks here at Mastra. Been working there for about almost 3 years actually, like 2 years and 11 months.
Nice. You've been working a lot on our tracing and observability infrastructure. I was hoping you could teach us about ClickHouse because we don't know what the fuck that is.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm still a beginner myself. I can sort of explain what was going on there. Initially, when we were deploying Mastra projects to cloud, all the tracing was going to our libsql database, and periodically, if there's enough traces being shoved into our libsql database at once, the database kind of froze. That's no good. So we moved our tracing logic to go to ClickHouse, which is a column-oriented database. So we have a single table where we store. Right now, we're just storing all our traces for the agents and workflows in one table, and we sort of have the ability to filter them off by your agent name or your workflow name. And we've seen some pretty good performance now, and we haven't ran into those issues. Fingers crossed, but it's looking good. Things are looking good here.
Nice, dude. What's your favorite part about working at Mastra?
Oh, the favorite part. There's lots, but I'd say the work I'm doing is really interesting. I've always been interested in kind of cloud stuff. Like I was doing back at Netlify, but this has another flavor to it, an AI flavor. Before joining Mastra, I wasn't really into AI, but now I hopped on the bandwagon, and everything's AI now. Like
all of us, we are buying into the hype.
Right. I'm Team Windsurf, by the way. That's another fun fact about me.
All right. So so we're like 50-50.
Represent.
Yeah. I just don't like dragging my files every time. I just want Windsurf to just take it away.
You like to go surfing. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Surfing's where it's at. Cool, dude. Well, thanks for joining us for Friendsgiving right here. Have a great weekend, dude.
Yeah, we'll see you later. See you, John.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right, everybody. Thanks for everyone who joined. We just hit 200. Took like 50 minutes, but we got 200 people watching.
7 minutes to go.
So to kind of do a quick recap of what we've covered so far, we talked a little bit about MCP. We had a guest, David from Sentry, come on, show us the Sentry MCP server that he's been working on. He also has a whole bunch of hot takes on MCP on his blog, so we should find that. Do you have that link? Maybe we can pull that up. We'll find, if you're looking for some, I would call it not light reading because they are pretty long, but they are very detailed. So I would actually, if you're interested on some hot takes on AI or MCP specifically, check out some of the things he has been posting there, and give him a follow, of course. Right there. Easy enough to remember there. And we also then talked a little bit about A2A. We had some people from Mastra join, show how you can actually deploy your own MCP servers with Mastra, which is cool. And learned a little bit about you, John, and some ClickHouse stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to do before we wrap up today, dude?
I don't know. I think.
What are we doing tonight?
Oh, we have an event tonight, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so we're going. So there's an event at the YC office tonight with a whole bunch of YC companies, YC alums.
Invite only. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But we'll be doing a demo there, so that'll be cool. A whole bunch of dev tools companies.
Supabase.
Yeah, we're
Us.
co-hosting with Supabase.
Starsling. Chonky.
Yeah, a whole bunch of demos.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna shout them all out because that's what you do on live streams, right?
Yeah,
Let's do that. These are all the homies for tonight.
Can you share your screen? Let's just.
Oh, should I share my screen?
No, just shout them out. Just shout them out. Yeah.
We got Supabase, Mastra, Starsling, Chonky, Clavis AI, Vibe, spelled with a Y.
BYB Vibe.
Vibe. Delty AI, Better Auth.
That seems needed.
Better Auth, dude. Better Auth. Dude. I think Better Auth was at the Vibe hackathon that James did. But anyway, Run RL, Prism AI, Morphic. Guess what food we're eating tonight? Guess. Just guess.
I'm gonna guess if you're in San Francisco and you're at a meetup or an event, 95% of the time you are eating pizza.
Fucking pizza, dude.
It's always pizza.
It's always pizza.
This is a hack for any of you. If you want free pizza, just go to Luma, search AI, find an AI meetup. There's an AI meetup every night of the week, and you can eat free pizza. That is just, you're guaranteed. Guaranteed.
I went to a Cloudflare meetup once, and I saw a girl who will not be named because I don't know who she is. She went there. She had 5 slices of pizza and then dipped, and I was like, "Dang, that's smart." So
we hosted an event where someone not in tech came, talked to some people, grabbed some pizza, invited her boyfriend, and then left as well. So it's a thing. I don't think the companies or VCs care, or they not enough people have caught on yet where it's a problem. But if you want free pizza, go to San Francisco. All you can eat.
Yeah, Luma is your pizza gateway. But the pizza will be trashed though. Most likely.
Yeah, not always. You can find some good pizza. We had some good pizza earlier this week on Monday.
If you come to our events, the pizza will be trash. I'll tell you that right now. So don't expect too much. Okay. It's gonna be Longbridge. Shout out Longbridge, probably.
Yeah.
Wait, do we have to order that still?
Yeah, we have to order
fuck,
pizza.
we didn't even order. Okay, well, we'll do that.
We'll try to get some good pizza.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this quite a bit. Try to live stream pretty frequently. So follow us on here.
Well, I should tell them. I'm going to tell them.
Yeah.
So many of you all are from Japan, and are developing with Mastra. We have a event in Japan on May 19th. It's at the All-Star SaaS. It's in Ginza, Tokyo. I've never been, so I'll be there. Tony will be there. If you are Japanese and in Japan, or you don't have to be Japanese. If you live in Japan, if you want to meet us, there's going to be some events around there. And then, Dave, we need to get you. Hey, Dave, do you want to come on right now, Dave? One last phone a friend.
I mean, we can go a little long, Dave. If you're around and you just want to jump in,
get on, dude. Get on. We'll send it to you.
Yeah, Dave, we'll send it to you if you can make it. We'll stick around for a few more minutes, and we can talk about some of the stuff you've been building. I know you've been playing around with Mastra. But yeah, sure. That seems like a
Two
cool
Daves
idea.
on one day.
Yeah, it's a double Dave day. But yeah, make sure you follow Mastra on Twitter, Mastra AI. Follow me on Twitter at smthomas3.
He said he's down.
All right, cool. He's in a Waymo. All right.
All right, it's perfect.
This is like mobile phone a friend.
Yeah. Now, how do we get him? I sent it to you on Slack, Dave. If you're listening.
Yeah, if you can get on Slack, jump on in, and we can keep chatting.
Also, I'm about to ask you for pizza, right?
Yeah, I think, Dave, did you volunteer? Did you volunteer?
I hope we're seeing you later, too.
Yeah, I hope you volunteered.
There he is. Yes!
Yeah.
Oh.
What's up?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, phone a friend. Literally phone a friend while you're in a vehicle.
I'm on the way to YC right now. I'll be at the event tonight.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So was that you telling us that your investor should order the pizza? You're going to help us or what?
Yeah. Should I write down the order for you guys right now and I'll call it in?
No, we got it.
No, we can take care of it. But so you've been playing around with Mastra a little bit, right?
I have. Yeah. Mastra's, it's been a game changer. I mean, it's everything I've wanted for like, so we build a lot of our internal software and our tech stack is Next.js. So obviously TypeScript is huge for us. And it was really awesome because I was able just to turn a bunch of server actions that I already had built out in my application just into tools that the Mastra agent could use. And I was on like an older version of Mastra, so I need to get on vNext and totally refactor my code now.
Sorry about that.
But no, I actually have a pretty large file that is basically just extracting all of the companies from YC's website for the current batch. And we use it so that we can track who's in the batch, which companies are launching, who's working on what. And just some background, Orange Collective, we're an investor in Mastra. We invest in a ton of YC companies. And so for us, it's pretty critical. And right now I just have like a basic, we use Firecrawl on the back end to help with the extraction. And it's just this long, really kind of hairy file that, to be honest, I just vibe coded. So I need to refactor this into like a multi-step workflow. And I've actually been going through the file to break out step by step all the different, I guess all the different steps in that gigantic file that I can then turn into a Mastra workflow with vNext. And so,
Hey, if you
I signed up for the hackathon next week because I gave myself a little assignment to turn it into a Mastra agent next week.
You should come on the show and we can just build it together.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Be awesome.
Yeah. We can help you build. You also mentioned Firecrawl. We know some people over there, but chat, help us out. Let's get someone from Firecrawl on here. We should bring them on, have them show off some of their stuff. That they're working on some really cool stuff over there too.
Yeah.
Firecrawl's amazing. You can define your schema. It's very similar to, in Mastra, you guys also use Zod, right? For, I guess defining certain parts of the toolchain. But with Firecrawl, you just define the schema that you want to extract out of a website. And you give it natural language prompts, and it uses a combination of LLMs to extract plain text from the site, but also parse that markdown file or HTML file. It gets rid of all the nasty headers, so it doesn't totally kill you on token consumption. And so they do a bunch of optimization stuff under the hood that, quite frankly, I don't even know exactly what's going on. But it's great that it's all abstracted for me, and it's kind of a great fit with Mastra.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Thanks so much for the impromptu join. We'll see you later today.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace. Dude, I like doing this live stream stuff. If like the homies can just jump in from like
from a car,
or everything.
Yeah, phone a friend is real.
Phone a friend is real.
Thanks everyone for joining. Just to recap, talked about MCP today. All this stuff's recorded too. So if you ever go to our YouTube, it's on the Mastra Twitter as well. So if you didn't catch it, if you came in late, if you want to see, specifically some of the stuff at the beginning was really interesting watching, David from Sentry talk through how they're thinking about MCP over at Sentry, how the MCP server that they built, seeing the demo, seeing how a lot of this stuff still it works, but it doesn't always work, right? Yeah. We're struggling with it just like you all are. But yeah, appreciate you all being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Any parting words?
Well, we are the Admiral.